Dispatch, traffic stop, black SUV, tag X-ray 478 Juliet Romeo. Possible robbery hit.
Evening, sir. Keep your hands where I can see them.
They're there.
Step out now.
Easy, deputy.
Stop right
Federal
there.
Office of Diplomatic Security, badges
What?
up.
Diplomatic personnel, deputy. You're detaining the wrong vehicle.
Tag came back on a robbery hit. That's what I got.
Your data's out of date.
The traffic stop began with flashing lights and tense breaths. The deputy stepped from his cruiser and approached a black SUV with dark windows. The plate matched a wanted vehicle from a robbery. Dispatch confirmed a hit. The deputy gave commands. The driver complied without complaint. Then the back door opened. A man in a tailored suit stepped out with slow steps and silent anger. Two more stepped out beside him. They showed badges from a federal office. Their paperwork granted diplomatic protection. The deputy froze. Body cams recorded each second. More units arrived. Voices clashed. The SUV did not belong to a suspect. The alert came from outdated data. A routine stop turned into a legal fight with national attention. Papers flew across desks. Lawyers circled. The federal office filed a lawsuit worth millions. The night patrol rolled across county highways with steady rhythm. Dashboard lights glowed across the inside of Deputy Cole Harmon's cruiser. His shift sat halfway through. The radio stayed calm with small calls. Noise complaints, a stray dog near a parking lot, a suspicious truck parked behind an old warehouse. Nothing serious. Nothing dangerous. Cole scanned the lanes in front of him. The roads stretched long and silent. Few cars traveled at that hour. Streetlights flickered across the asphalt. His eyes stayed alert. The county posted new bulletins that same night. One bulletin described a black SUV linked to a robbery crew operating across 3 cities. The vehicle switched plates twice. The last report placed it near the state line. Deputies received orders to stop and detain the driver for questioning. Cole kept the description fresh in his mind. An hour into patrol, a black SUV passed him on the opposite side of the highway. Dark tint, chrome trim. Out-of-state plates. The match sparked quick. Cole slowed and turned into the median opening. He pulled onto the highway and followed. The SUV maintained a safe speed. It signaled lane changes. Nothing reckless. Nothing that screamed danger. Still, the plate number lined up with the bulletin. Cole radioed dispatch. He gave the location, vehicle type, and plate. Dispatch ran the plate through multiple systems. The screen in Cole's cruiser flashed red. A wanted alert flagged the plate. Cole keyed his mic and requested backup. 2 units answered and moved toward his position. The SUV turned onto a county road and slowed near a long stretch of farmland. Cole activated lights. The SUV pulled to the shoulder without resistance. Cole parked behind it. He turned on his body cam, placed a hand on the door, and stepped out into cool night air. Silence hung across the field. The SUV's brake lights pulsed red. Cole approached with caution. He announced himself and ordered the driver to lower the window. The window rolled down halfway. A man in his 60s sat behind the wheel. Gray beard, calm eyes, expensive suit. His hands rested on the wheel in clear view. Cole asked for license and registration. The man complied without a word. Cole stepped back and read the documents with his flashlight. The name did not appear suspicious. The registration said the SUV belonged to a private transport contractor that sometimes handled diplomatic travel. Cole walked back to the window. He ordered the driver to step out. The man opened the door with slow movements and stood with hands raised. Cole guided him toward the front of the SUV. The driver kept silent. No anger, no argument. His demeanor stayed too calm for someone flagged in a robbery case. Cole's instincts felt pulled in 2 directions. The bulletin said arrest, the behavior said something different. Before Cole gave another command, the back door of the SUV opened. 3 men stepped out, suits, badges, not local, not state. Their badges came from a federal office tied to international cases. One held a folder. Another held an identification wallet. They stood with straight posture. No panic in their faces. The lead man spoke with a steady tone. He said the SUV transported a protected diplomat from a foreign consulate. He said their convoy logged travel under federal protection guidelines. He said Cole's stop violated protocol. His words hit like cold steel. No yelling. No threats. Just direct force. Cole felt his pulse rise. He ordered them to remain in place. He stepped back and radioed dispatch. He reported federal badges at the scene. Dispatch told him to hold position and wait for his supervisor. Cole tightened his jaw and tried to keep control. His backup units cut across the county road and stopped with lights flashing. 2 deputies stepped out, tense and confused. The man with the folder handed Cole a stack of papers: travel orders, diplomatic clearances, vehicle authorization, route approval through the state. Every sheet held federal seals. Every signature looked authentic. Cole checked the plate number again. It still showed as wanted in the robbery database. That system rarely failed. Something felt wrong. The lead agent demanded the reason for the stop. Cole gave the bulletin description. The agent studied the SUV and shook his head. He said the bulletin involved a different model year and a different trim package, and the database mixed old plate data with updated registration numbers. The agent called his own supervisor to confirm. Cole stood silent as the air grew heavy. His backup moved closer. The scene looked tense but controlled. Then the rear door of the SUV opened again. A man stepped out with a diplomatic passport. Middle-aged, well-dressed, sharp eyes. He asked why armed deputies stopped his transport. The lead agent explained the mistake with clipped words. The diplomat listened. His face hardened. He took the travel documents and examined the registration. Then he turned his attention toward Cole. He spoke with calm but clear anger. He stated that local officers detained a protected convoy without proper cause. His words sounded rehearsed, as if he expected this scene from the moment the lights flashed behind them. He asked for badge numbers. All of them. Cole gave his badge number. So did his backup. The diplomat wrote everything on a notepad. The lead agent told Cole that a complaint would reach the sheriff before sunrise. Another agent recorded the scene with a phone. Cameras captured every moment. Cole swallowed hard. He radioed his supervisor again and requested guidance. Dispatch patched through the sheriff. The sheriff ordered Cole to release the convoy. Cole felt the order strike harder than any reprimand. He lowered his weapon. He told the driver he was free to leave. The diplomat stood inches away and stared at him with pointed silence. The agents filed back into the SUV. The convoy pulled away from the shoulder and disappeared down the road. The red taillights faded into darkness. Cole stood alone in that cold field. His backup approached him without a word. They returned to their cruisers and cleared the scene. Cole drove back toward the station with heavy weight in his chest. The radio stayed silent. The road stretched black across empty fields. He reached the station and parked in the rear lot. Inside, the sheriff waited. He told Cole the federal office filed a formal complaint. They demanded all body cam footage. They assigned a legal team to pursue damages against the sheriff's department. They labeled the stop as unlawful detainment of a protected official. Cole tried to explain. The bulletin instructed deputies to stop that plate. The system flagged the plate. The sheriff raised his hand and ended the explanation. He told Cole that federal lawyers prepared a lawsuit worth millions. The county attorney needed every detail written in a report before sunrise. Cole sat at his desk and typed with rigid focus. He wrote every step in plain language. No emotion. No excuses. Only facts. His hands shook once but settled as he continued. He finished after an hour, printed the report, and delivered it to the sheriff. The sheriff took it without comment. Cole walked outside into cold night air. He leaned against his cruiser and stared across the parking lot. His world shifted in a single traffic stop. A routine check turned into a legal war he never asked for. He closed his eyes and exhaled. His shift ended minutes later. He left the station and drove home under a sky with no stars. His phone rang twice before he entered his driveway. The caller ID flagged unknown numbers. He powered the phone off and walked inside his house. The silence felt thick. He hung his duty belt on a hook and sat at the kitchen table. Exhaustion dragged at his limbs. He laid his head on his folded arms and breathed slow. He replayed every moment. The stop, the badges, the diplomat's stare. No rule broke that night, but rules did not stop lawsuits. Rules did not stop headlines. Cole stood up, walked to his living room, and sat in the dark until sleep forced his eyes closed. He returned to duty the next evening. He checked his locker. A sealed envelope from the sheriff waited inside. Inside the envelope sat a directive. Do not comment to media. Do not speak about the case. Keep the body cam footage secure. Cole folded the directive and placed it in his pocket. The next night shaped his path into something far deeper than a roadside mistake. Federal pressure. Local politics. Public outrage. The lawsuit forced open a door that Cole never wanted to see. Cole arrived early for briefing. Officers filled the room with slow steps and quiet voices. No one joked. No one smiled. A stack of printed memos sat on the table. The sheriff stood near the front with a stiff posture. He told the room that the lawsuit reached national headlines overnight. News outlets framed the stop as unlawful harassment of a protected diplomat. Federal lawyers sent letters demanding full records, internal files, and department policies. The county attorney prepared a response, but pressure grew fast. Cole kept his eyes forward. His name filled the reports. His voice echoed on the recordings. Every second of that stop streamed across online platforms. Comment sections exploded. Bloggers tore the sheriff's department apart. Politicians joined interviews and called the incident a disgrace. After briefing, the sheriff called Cole into his office. The door shut behind him. The sheriff told him that the county administration requested a recess assignment. Cole received desk duty until further notice. Patrol shifts paused. He stayed in-house, filed paperwork, and updated reports on unrelated cases. Cole accepted the order without protest. He walked out with straight shoulders and steady steps, but the weight dragged at him. The hours that followed passed slow. Filing cabinets rattled. Printers hummed. Phones rang without pause. Reporters called non-stop. The receptionist sent every call to the sheriff's voicemail. Officers kept their heads down and pushed through paperwork. No one expected calm in the station. Cole sorted reports from outdated files, updated contact logs, and checked patrol mileage records. None of it changed his situation. By noon, the county attorney walked into the station. She met with the sheriff and 2 senior deputies. Cole waited outside, listening to faint voices through the wall. After an hour, the attorney stepped out and asked Cole to join them. He entered the office and stood near the table. The attorney asked Cole to recount every detail again. She recorded his statement. She asked exact times, exact distances, exact commands, and exact responses. Cole answered with clear language. He included the bulletin alerts, the license plate hit, and the travel documents presented by the convoy. The attorney wrote notes and asked for clarification on the database alert. Cole repeated the sequence without hesitation. The attorney finished the interview and sat back in her chair. She told Cole that the database included outdated data from another agency. A clerical error flagged the SUV's registration. The error came from a federal system, not the sheriff's department. That mattered for the defense. The attorney planned to argue that deputies followed protocol. Cole nodded. He left the office and returned to his desk. The next day, the media parked vans outside the station. Reporters waited by the barricades. Officers guarded the entrance from dawn to dusk. Patrol units navigated around crowds. Protesters carried signs with bold letters condemning the stop. Online platforms streamed footage of the confrontation. Edited clips twisted facts and changed context. Public opinions fractured into loud arguments. Cole watched through the window. He saw strangers shouting into cameras. He heard fragments of angry speeches. His body stayed calm, but his stomach felt tight. The sheriff summoned extra staff to maintain order. The protest stayed peaceful, but the tension felt charged. 3 days later, the county attorney met with federal lawyers for negotiations. They sat in a closed conference room at the courthouse. Cole did not attend. He waited in the station with other deputies. The meeting lasted hours. When it ended, news traveled fast. The federal lawyers rejected settlement offers. They demanded a public apology, disciplinary action, new policies, and financial damages. The lawsuit moved forward toward a court date. The sheriff called a staff meeting that night. He told the room that the department would fight the case. He said they followed lawful procedure. He said Cole executed a standard vehicle stop with a valid alert. He said the diplomat never faced physical harm. He said the department would not duck responsibility, but they would defend their deputy. Cole listened in silence. His badge felt heavier than it ever had. He walked out of the meeting and stepped outside. Night air washed across the concrete steps. A small group of protesters still stood near the road. Flashlights lit their signs. A camera drone hovered overhead. Cole went home and locked his door. He sat at the kitchen table and reviewed the timeline in his mind. Nothing changed the facts. The stop came from a valid alert. The command decisions matched department training. The diplomat suffered no injury. The convoy left without delay. Still, millions sat on the line. The sheriff faced pressure from every direction. Cole's career balanced on that stop. 2 weeks passed. Cole stayed on desk duty. He processed case files, logged digital evidence, and assisted detectives with database entries. Each morning, news outlets blasted more coverage. New commentators joined the issue. Some defended him. Some called for his badge. Cole ignored the noise, but the pressure followed him into every hour. One afternoon, an unfamiliar vehicle parked behind the station. 2 federal investigators stepped out and flashed credentials. They asked for Cole. The sheriff escorted them to a private interview room. Cole followed and sat across the table. The investigators placed a recorder in the center. They questioned Cole for nearly 2 hours. They asked his training history. They asked why he ordered the driver to exit the vehicle. They asked why he requested backup. They asked why he held his weapon at the low ready position. Cole answered with clear language. No hesitation. No emotion. Only facts. They asked if he recognized the diplomat. He said no. They asked if he gave disrespectful remarks. He said no. They asked if he ignored identification. He explained that he inspected the documents and called the sheriff before releasing the convoy. The investigators reviewed bodycam footage on a tablet as Cole spoke. They paused segments and asked for clarification. Cole explained each step with steady tone. When they finished, the investigators thanked him and left the room. Cole exited and walked down the hallway. Officers stared as he passed. The sight of federal investigators made nerves edge through the department. Later that night, Cole drove home and found a newspaper on his porch. The headline blasted his photo across the front page. A columnist dissected his body language, his posture, and his commands. The article called him reckless. It said he humiliated a diplomat and endangered public trust. Cole placed the newspaper in the trash. He sat in the dark living room, listening to the soft hum of his refrigerator. A week later, the county attorney called Cole to the conference room. She said the lawsuit escalated. The federal lawyers filed additional claims. They wanted full financial restitution for emotional distress, diplomatic disruption, and international embarrassment. They demanded classified transport logs be released. The county refused to release classified data. The legal battle thickened. The attorney told Cole that he might face cross-examination in court. Reporters would attend. Cameras would record. Public eyes would watch his every expression. Cole nodded and said he would give his sworn testimony when required. Days passed without improvement. Protesters increased in number. The sheriff deployed extra patrols to keep the area safe. News vans remained parked across the street. Every officer learned to ignore microphones shoved toward them. One morning, a convoy of black sedans stopped in front of the courthouse. Federal officials stepped out and entered through the side door. The diplomat walked with them. Cameras flashed as he passed. His expression stayed stone hard. The message looked clear. He would not settle. Inside the courthouse, the judge assigned a trial date for preliminary hearings. The courtroom filled with attorneys, deputies, federal agents, media observers, and courthouse staff. Cole sat behind the county attorney. He wore his uniform with polished badge and pressed shirt. His posture stayed straight. The lawyers presented arguments. The federal side pointed at Cole and said the stop humiliated a protected official. They displayed edited footage that zoomed on his raised weapon. They claimed the department ignored diplomatic protocols. They demanded damages. The county attorney pushed back. She presented full body cam footage. She displayed the flagged alert. She showed the dispatch log. She pointed to federal clerical error. She argued that deputies never used threats or force. The judge listened without expression. After hours of sparring, the judge dismissed talks of disciplinary action against Cole. He ruled that no immediate suspension applied. The courtroom shifted with whispers. The federal lawyers pressed for damages. The judge set another date to review financial claims. Cole stepped outside with the county attorney. Reporters swarmed with cameras pointed at his face. Microphones filled the walkway. Officers created a path through the crowd and moved him toward a waiting cruiser. The questions did not stop. Cole stared forward and entered the vehicle without a word. Back at the station, Cole sat at his desk and took a deep breath. The sheriff entered and closed the door. He told Cole that the judge's ruling helped the defense. The department still faced financial risk, but Cole avoided suspension. The sheriff said the county would not throw him under the bus. He said Cole handled the stop with discipline and law. Cole thanked him. The sheriff left the room. Cole sat still for several minutes. Relief eased some weight, but not all. That night, Cole's sister called. She said she watched the hearing online. She said her children asked why their uncle appeared on the news. Cole changed the subject and said the family should focus on school and work. He promised he would visit after the mess settled. The next morning, he returned to desk duty. He worked through digital logs, wrote reports, and assisted a detective with case indexing. Hours passed without drama. For once, the building felt calm. Late that afternoon, the sheriff stepped out of his office and gathered several deputies. He said a new bulletin arrived from federal partners. A robbery crew linked to the original alert resurfaced in the county. A black SUV similar to the flagged one escaped a traffic stop near a rural gas station. Witnesses saw two suspects enter a warehouse near an abandoned loading yard. The sheriff needed patrol units. Cole stood from his desk. The sheriff looked at him and paused. Cole expected a refusal. Instead, the sheriff nodded. He told Cole to gear up and roll out. Cole secured his vest, grabbed his duty belt, and walked toward his cruiser. He stepped outside with fresh purpose. Patrol wheels moved again. He drove toward the old loading yard. Dust lifted across the cracked pavement. Rusted barrels sat near stacked pallets. A single lamp flickered above the warehouse door. Cole parked at a distance and waited for backup. When two cruisers arrived, they formed a perimeter. The sheriff authorized entry. Cole approached with his flashlight angled low. The door hung slightly open. The officers entered with slow steps. Metal shelves lined the walls. Cardboard boxes filled aisles in long rows. They found a man crouched near the loading ramp. He raised his hands and backed against a crate. He surrendered without a fight. The officers cuffed him and continued searching. A second suspect ran across the far side of the warehouse. Cole chased him between stacks of boxes. The suspect tripped over a pallet and crashed hard. Cole moved fast, secured him, and called it clear. A black SUV sat hidden behind the warehouse. No tinted windows. No diplomatic plates. No federal badges. The suspects sat in the patrol cars with silent faces. They had nothing to do with diplomats. They had everything to do with robbery and stolen goods. Detectives arrived and processed the scene. Cole stood near the warehouse door and watched agents mark evidence. He stayed calm. He stayed sharp. He felt like a cop again, not a headline. Later that night, Cole drove back to the station. He prepared statements and logged evidence. The sheriff walked over and placed a hand on the desk. He said that sometimes the job punished good intentions. Sometimes the job dragged honest officers through mud. He told Cole to stand firm. Cole nodded. He left the station and drove home. The night sky looked quiet. No reporters waited outside his house. For the first time in weeks, his mind felt steady. He slept without interruption. For a few hours, the lawsuit faded from his thoughts. Duty called again in the morning. He planned to answer. Cole arrived before sunrise. The station lights reflected across trimmed grass and parked cruisers. He stepped inside and signed in for duty. Desk duty ended. Patrol returned to his life. The sheriff walked over and handed him a new schedule. Night shifts spread across 2 weeks. Patrol zones covered high-traffic stretches and rural roads with long, dark miles. Cole changed in the locker room, checked his gear, and walked toward his cruiser. He placed his notepad on the dashboard and ran a quick inspection. Tires good. Radios clear. Bodycam charged. He backed out of the parking lot and rolled toward his assigned route. Traffic moved without trouble at first. Semi-trucks crossed county lines with slow speed. A few sedans passed with steady pace. Gas stations glowed near intersections. Nothing looked unusual. Cole settled into routine. Patrol worked like muscle memory. Watch mirrors. Track plates. Observe small movements. Stay alert. Hours passed. The sun rose across farmland. Cows stood near fences. Barn roofs reflected morning light. Cole turned off the main road and entered a neighborhood filled with small houses and narrow yards. Children waited for a bus near the corner. Parents watched from porches. Cole slowed and rolled past them. At the end of the street, a silver pickup ignored a stop sign. It turned left without braking. Cole followed and activated lights. The pickup stopped in a driveway. A man stepped out with frustration in his face. He complained about a late shift and tired eyes. Cole kept his voice steady. He issued a citation and returned to patrol. Later that afternoon, dispatch sent him to a warehouse fire alarm. Smoke filled a corner of the building. Fire crews arrived and extinguished a small spark near an electrical box. No suspects, no arson, only a faulty circuit. Cole filled out a quick report and left. Days stacked one after another. Patrol shifts covered wide territory. Officers stayed busy with traffic calls, minor thefts, and domestic disputes. Reporters still watched the station, but the crowds thinned. Camera vans remained parked across the street, though smaller crews handled coverage. Cole maintained caution. He kept his focus on every call, every stop, every decision. One afternoon, Cole responded to a disturbance at a grocery store. A man argued with a clerk about a disputed purchase. The tension turned physical. Cole entered and separated both sides. The man tried to push past him. Cole secured the man's wrists, placed him in cuffs, and called for transport. The clerk thanked him. Cole filed a short statement and returned to his cruiser. The next night, Cole patrolled a long stretch near the state line. Darkness covered the road. His headlights swept across empty fields and deep ditches. He reached a junction where a narrow gravel road branched off. A brown sedan sat parked on the shoulder. Hazard lights flashed. Cole approached with caution. A woman sat inside with her hands on the wheel. Her tire flattened against the rim. She looked scared but calm. Cole asked if she needed help. She said her phone died. She waited for a tow truck that never arrived. Cole called a local service and stayed with her until they reached the car. The driver thanked him and paid her bill. Small moments like that reminded him why he wore the badge. A week passed. News coverage shifted to other stories. New scandals, new speeches, new local debates. Still, the lawsuit lingered in the background. Lawyers traded letters. Court dates approached. Cole kept working. One evening, Cole attended a mandatory meeting inside the training room. The sheriff, county attorney, and a legal consultant stood near the front. The attorney explained the next phase of the lawsuit. A judge scheduled depositions. Witnesses needed to prepare. Lawyers wanted to review body cam footage frame by frame. Cole would testify again. The attorney asked if he remembered anything unclear about the stop. Cole said every command followed policy. The attorney asked if any deputy yelled or used profanity. Cole said no. The attorney asked if he saw the diplomat before the vehicle stop. Cole said no. The consultant took notes and asked more questions. Cole answered them all. After the meeting, officers approached Cole and shared quiet support. Some clapped his shoulder. Others nodded. They respected him. They respected his record. Cole thanked them. 2 days later, Cole received a call from the sheriff. He asked Cole to meet at City Hall. The county council wanted a briefing. Cole changed into dress uniform and drove there. City Hall buzzed with tension. Council members sat behind a long desk. The county attorney and sheriff stood beside them. Cole walked to the front and answered direct questions about procedure, training, and paperwork. Council members listened without expression. They wanted assurance that the department held control. Cole provided clear responses. One council member nodded in approval. Another jotted notes in a ledger. When the meeting ended, Cole stepped outside. Photographers stood along the sidewalk. They aimed cameras but stayed behind the rope line. Cole walked to his cruiser without speaking. Reporters called his name, but he kept moving. Officers cleared a path to the street. During the next week, Cole resumed patrol. One night, he stopped a speeding car with tinted windows. A nervous driver fumbled for his license. Cole stayed calm. The driver's hands shook. He admitted he rushed to a hospital where his wife went into labor. Cole confirmed the story through dispatch. The hospital verified the arrival. Cole issued a verbal warning and led the driver back to the highway. The man shouted thanks and sped off with urgency. Cole watched the taillights fade. Later that night, the sheriff requested Cole's presence at a private meeting in the station conference room. Cole entered and sat across from him. The sheriff passed a letter across the table. The letter came from the state attorney general. It stated that an independent review completed. Cole read each line. The review found no misconduct, no abuse of authority, no unlawful detention. The stop followed department protocol. The error originated from a federal database. The sheriff leaned back and said the review helped the county case. The attorney planned to present it in court. Cole nodded and handed the letter back. It felt like a small victory. Within days, the legal tide shifted. Federal lawyers began negotiation talks again. The county attorney met them twice. No resolution yet, but tone softened. The lawsuit no longer looked like a guaranteed loss. Still, Cole stayed cautious. Lawsuits changed course without warning. Judges changed rulings. Jurors changed opinions. He stayed focused on patrol. Duty mattered more than courtrooms. One afternoon, dispatch alerted a robbery in progress at a convenience store near the highway. Cole activated lights and raced toward the location. He arrived in minutes. The suspect ran out the front door with a bag in hand. Cole shouted a command. The suspect darted toward the parking lot. Cole chased him across the concrete. The suspect jumped a curb and sprinted across gravel. Cole closed the distance and tackled him. The suspect dropped the bag and hit the ground. Cole cuffed him and retrieved the bag full of cash. Backup arrived. The store clerk thanked Cole with shaky voice. The suspect sat silent in the cruiser with sweat dripping down his face. Cole wrote statements, logged evidence, and turned the suspect over to detectives. Small victories kept the department grounded. A week later, the county attorney called Cole to the courthouse again. She said both sides prepared closing negotiations. Cole followed her into a conference room. Federal lawyers sat across the table. They reviewed documents, reports, and recordings again. The county attorney argued each point with firm tone. She pushed the independent review across the table. The lead federal lawyer read it word by word. Tension filled the room. For long minutes, no one spoke. Then the lead lawyer closed the folder and exhaled through his nose. He said the federal side might accept a reduced settlement. Lower numbers, less noise, no forced disciplinary action, no public apology from Cole, only a general statement from the sheriff's office. The county attorney asked for time to consider. Cole left the courthouse and drove straight to the station. He checked in with dispatch and rolled into patrol. He felt lighter, but not finished. The lawsuit still stood. The ink had not dried. Later that week, Cole patrolled a long stretch of rural road. Night shadows crossed his headlights. Crickets chirped along ditches. A stray dog ran near a fence line. He slowed and checked the roadside. The dog bolted through grass and disappeared. Cole continued driving. A few miles down, he saw a sedan pulled over with its hood open. A teenager knelt near the front bumper. Cole parked behind and stepped out. The teenager said his engine stalled. He looked shaken. Cole helped him move the sedan to a driveway. The homeowner came out and offered tools. Cole waited until the engine restarted, then returned to his cruiser. Small encounters like that reminded him of the job's purpose. Protect people, serve the county, follow the law, ignore the noise. The next morning, dispatch notified the station that settlement talks reached a final stage. The county attorney called Cole in for a briefing. She told him that federal lawyers accepted a settlement without personal damages. The county would pay a reduced amount. The diplomat agreed to a statement acknowledging database error. The lawsuit ended without trial. Cole sat quietly as her words settled. The weight on his shoulders lifted, slow but sure. The attorney thanked him for steady cooperation. The sheriff entered, shook his hand, and said the department stood behind him. News broke later that afternoon. Reporters flooded the courthouse steps. The county issued a short statement. The department updated vehicle stop protocols for flagged diplomatic transports. No blame aimed at Cole. No punishment. No forced admission of wrongdoing. Cameras recorded the sheriff as he addressed media. Cole stayed inside and filed his reports. By nightfall, most reporters left. Protesters cleared out. Vans packed up. Social feeds shifted attention elsewhere. The station breathed easier. Cole finished paperwork, signed his logs, and left for home. He sat on his porch and watched headlights pass on the distant highway. He felt tired, but for the first time in months, his thoughts went quiet. Duty returned to normal. Still, the world changed around him. Officers respected him more. The sheriff trusted him deeper. The public learned his name. And somewhere in city offices, lawyers filed the settlement papers that ended the storm. Cole leaned back in his chair and stared at the dark sky. Tomorrow meant more patrol, more stops, more responsibility. He planned to show up with the same steady focus. He closed his eyes and breathed slow. The lawsuit ended, but the job stayed strong. He would handle whatever came next. Cole started the morning with routine. Fresh uniform, hot coffee, quick breakfast. He locked his door and stepped into clean air. His cruiser sat parked near the curb with spotless windows and full tank. The sun climbed above the trees and washed the street in pale light. A new shift waited. No lawsuit meetings, no reporters, no cameras lined at the fence. Silence felt rare, but welcome. He reached the station before roll call. Officers filled the briefing room. The sheriff entered with direct posture. He said the county closed the settlement. Federal lawyers signed the agreement. No more hearings, no more depositions, no public apology from Cole. Only a short statement from the county. The room grew lighter. Officers glanced at Cole with nods of respect. The sheriff assigned patrol zones. Cole returned to highways, business loops, and rural roads. He grabbed his radio and stepped outside. Blue sky stretched wide. He climbed into his cruiser, logged in with dispatch, and left the parking lot. The day started slow. Regular traffic filled county roads. Trucks hauled grain from farm silos. Kids rode bikes near sidewalks. The radio stayed quiet. Cole turned onto a long stretch of highway and watched speeders from a safe distance. One driver flew past at 15 over. Cole hit his lights and made a clean stop. The driver apologized. Cole issued a citation and cleared the scene. He drove through the business district next. Store owners unlocked doors for morning customers. A bakery filled the sidewalk with warm smells from fresh bread. Construction crews fixed potholes near the center lane. Cole waved drivers through and kept traffic moving. Around noon, dispatch called a disturbance at a motel off the highway. Guests argued in the lobby. Cole arrived with another deputy. A man yelled about missing property. A woman insisted he left it behind. Cole separated both and asked for room numbers. He checked security logs with the motel manager. The property sat in Lost and Found. The man apologized. The dispute ended without trouble. Cole wrote a short report and left. His phone buzzed during a lunch break. The sheriff requested a meeting. Cole drove back to the station and sat in the office. The sheriff thanked him for steady work during the lawsuit. He said the county council approved a new training program. Cole would help lead patrol instruction for new recruits and lateral hires. The sheriff handed him a training binder and schedule. Cole accepted with calm pride. Teaching younger officers felt like service beyond patrol. He left the office and walked through the hallway. Officers nodded as he passed. Confidence returned. Respect returned. The badge on his chest shined without stress. Later that week, Cole held the first training session in the academy room. 3 recruits sat in front rows with notepads. Cole taught vehicle stop protocol, radio communication, and legal demands for identification. He explained how to keep calm during tense stops. He told them that every command must stay clear and lawful. He warned them that cameras watched everything. The recruits asked direct questions. Cole answered with simple instruction. When class ended, the recruits thanked him. Cole cleaned the whiteboard and stepped outside. He headed to his cruiser and rolled into afternoon patrol. Traffic filled the highway again. School buses dropped students near crosswalks. Delivery trucks backed into loading docks. Cole moved with alert eyes. Hours passed without an incident. The radio stayed calm. Near sunset, a call broke the silence. Dispatch reported a reckless driver speeding across farmland roads. Witnesses saw a pickup slide across gravel and hit a fence. Cole responded. He turned toward the rural road and followed dust trails. He saw the pickup stopped in a field. A man stumbled near the ditch with blood on his arm. Cole stepped out and approached with caution. The man slurred his words. He showed clear signs of intoxication. Cole secured him with cuffs and called for medical support. Paramedics arrived and bandaged his arm. The man sat in the ambulance and stared at Cole with dull eyes. Cole wrote a report and filed charges. Another officer helped transport him to the hospital. Night rolled in. Cole patrolled quiet roads with headlights slicing through darkness. Coyotes crossed the ditch line. An owl perched on a fence post. Calm returned. Days passed with steady pace. Cole balanced patrol and training sessions. Recruits improved. They learned safe approach patterns, arrest control, proper voice commands, and evidence handling. Cole walked them through mock stops with real timing. He showed them how to separate emotional tension from lawful action. The sheriff watched one session and nodded in approval. One night, the sheriff called Cole into his office. He said the county council wanted Cole to assist with a community outreach event. The council planned an open forum at a high school gym. Residents wanted honest discussion about patrol safety and department policies. Cole agreed to attend. The date arrived 2 weeks later. The gym filled with residents, reporters, and community leaders. Folding chairs covered the floor. Cole sat beside the sheriff on a raised platform. The county attorney, a council member, and a school principal joined them. The sheriff spoke first. He explained the department's duty to protect everyone, including visitors with diplomatic protections. He said database errors caused the wrongful alert. He said the county improved verification steps for flagged vehicles. He said the department stood behind its deputies. Residents asked direct questions. Some worried about privacy. Some worried about profiling. Some supported the department. Some pushed for more training. The sheriff answered each point with calm tone. He mentioned the new academy program. He nodded toward Cole and said patrol training improved because of his instruction. A resident asked if Cole would speak. The sheriff looked at him. Cole stood and faced the crowd. He explained what happened that night without emotion. He said he followed procedure. He said he respected the law. He said every officer must act with balance and caution. The crowd listened without interruption. When Cole finished, applause broke from part of the room. Others stayed silent, but no one shouted. No protesters moved toward the stage. The night ended with calm voices. Residents approached Cole for handshakes. A mother asked him to speak to her teenage son about police work. Cole agreed and spent a few minutes giving simple advice. Follow rules, respect others, stay honest. The outreach event ended without conflict. Officers packed up chairs. The sheriff thanked Cole for steady presence. Cole left the gym and drove home. The night air felt clean. The tension that once wrapped his life now faded into memory. Weeks rolled forward. The lawsuit faded from headlines. The settlement filed into court records. Reporters shifted focus to unrelated cases. Cole returned to normal patrol life. One shift, he stopped a stolen motorcycle. The rider ran. Cole chased him on foot through an alley. The rider tripped and fell beside a dumpster. Cole cuffed him and recovered the motorcycle. Another shift, Cole found a missing senior citizen wandering near a cornfield. The family hugged her at the hospital. Another shift, Cole pulled a child from a locked car at a gas station after the parents stepped away. He broke the window and carried the child into shade. The paramedics checked her and said she stayed safe. Small victories. Quiet service. The badge held a purpose again. Spring approached. Cole kept training new recruits while handling patrol half of the week. He taught them ethics, communication, and defensive driving. He ran them through scenarios in dim parking lots behind the station. He corrected small mistakes with patient tone. One night, the sheriff called him into the office once more. A state police captain reached out and requested Cole's participation in a regional training summit. The summit gathered instructors from several counties. Cole's name surfaced because of his calm record during a high-pressure case. The sheriff said the department supported him if he chose to attend. Cole accepted. The summit began in a nearby city 2 weeks later. Officers, deputies, and troopers filled a classroom. State instructors demonstrated new stop tactics, improved camera management, and crisis intervention steps. Cole joined workshops and swapped stories with others. He met seasoned officers with decades of experience. Some asked about his lawsuit. Cole answered with short, factual remarks. No anger, no drama. Officers appreciated his steady attitude. During a scenario drill, Cole helped a younger deputy control a tense mock stop. The instructor watched and nodded. After the drill, the instructor said Cole handled pressure with rare patience. Cole only replied that training matters. When the summit ended, Cole drove home and returned to his routine. His life no longer centered around a lawsuit. His name no longer filled headlines. He worked his shift, trained recruits, and returned to a quiet house each night. Months passed. The county council sent a letter of commendation, not a ceremony. No cameras. Only a folded paper that acknowledged his service during a difficult time. Cole placed it in a drawer. He kept the badge polished and the patrol car clean. Late one evening, while rain tapped across the windshield, Cole parked near a truck stop. He watched semis roll in and out of the lot. The radio echoed through the cabin with light static. Then dispatch called in a medical emergency near the pumps. A driver collapsed beside his cab. Cole sprang out, reached the scene, and began CPR until paramedics arrived. They took over and stabilized the man. His pulse returned. The paramedics thanked Cole for fast response. Another night, a runaway teenager walked along the shoulder of a dark road with soaked clothes and trembling arms. Cole approached with a calm voice. He gave her a blanket from his trunk and called her parents. She cried with relief. Her mother arrived and hugged her beside the cruiser. Small acts filled the silence left behind by the lawsuit. They built the years of his career piece by piece. They reminded him of the simple truth. Service mattered more than headlines, protests, or courtrooms. One late shift, the sheriff called Cole on his radio and asked him to swing by the station. When Cole arrived, the sheriff handed him a short note. It came from the diplomat involved in the lawsuit. The note no longer attacked. It said the diplomat reviewed the final case documents and accepted the error from the federal database. It acknowledged that Cole remained professional during the stop. The sheriff folded the note back into the envelope. He said the diplomat wrote it on his own. Cole placed the envelope in his locker and closed the door. He stepped outside and leaned against his cruiser. The wind moved across the pavement and rustled an old flag near the entrance. Cole looked up at the sky and saw a thin line of stars through fading clouds. He knew no job delivered perfection. Every shift held risk. Every decision held weight. He knew mistakes happened. He knew the world judged fast and loud. But he also knew his duty stayed clear. Protect the county, respect the law, honor the badge. He sat behind the wheel and logged back into patrol. The radio crackled with a minor call. He turned on his headlights and merged onto the main road. The night stretched long and open. Cole felt calm. The storm passed. What came next belonged to the job. The next video drops soon with a fresh patrol story and clean breakdowns of every move. Stay close for the follow-up. A free guide sits ready that explains traffic stop steps in simple language. No filler, no noise, only direct instruction.